So this video is a bit of a rant. I have done ranty videos in the past. I will link one of those videos at the end of this video. Now this rant is called Zimbabwe Politics and Why We're Poor. By we, I'm talking about Zimbabweans or black people in general, especially Zimbabweans abroad or black people abroad. And even though I'm saying abroad as well, I need you to understand that it also affects the Zimbabweans who are living in Zimbabwe and the black people who are in Africa, whether you are in Ghana, Nigeria, wherever. Now, this rant, again, is in two parts. The first part, I'm going to give some of the reasons, according to my experiences and observations, some of the reasons why we are poor. And then the second part of the rant, I'm going to link everything to Zimbabwe politics. Maybe this is where I'm going to do the most of my ranting. It's going to be like a proper rant, okay? Now, I want us to start by looking at statistics, especially here in the UK, because that's where I live. But you will find that these statistics, they mirror what is happening, or the statistics, tongue twister, statistics. They mirror the statistics of some other countries. Black immigrants are relatively poor compared to other races. The percentage of black immigrants is relatively higher compared to other races, especially their white counterparts. And there are reasons for that. So anyway, before I give you the reasons why we're poor as Zimbabweans or black people abroad or back home, let me just prefix everything by saying the only way I can be objective or not come across as me making sweeping statements is if I use my examples. I draw from experience, because everything that I'm going to say in this video are things that I've lived, things that I'm living. So I speak from experience. I don't need to read any book to come up with these things. I don't need to dig that much to come up with these things. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before I begin my rant. Now then, the first reason why Zimbabweans abroad are poor, or why black immigrants or black people abroad are poor, is that we spend most of our time playing catch up. Okay, let me explain what I mean. And I'll use my example because that's what I promised. I came to the UK in my 20s. I was heading towards my late 20s. Okay, so I spent, I would say, the first 5 years of my time in the UK, I was trying to settle. I was a student working 20 hours a week and studying at the same time, even though I was a qualified teacher back home. But because of my status at the time, I couldn't teach. Being a student, I couldn't engage in professional work. Another reason I couldn't teach here in the UK was because of my qualifications. The qualifications that I had were not enough for me to get a work permit. I needed to do some courses on top of that. And those courses, when I looked them up, they were too expensive for me to do at the time because of the situation I was in. I had just come to the UK. I was a student working only 20 hours a week. So where was I going to get the money from? The same goes for someone who comes to the UK in their 30s, 40s to do care work. And I'll give an example of the people who have recently relocated. Maybe they've sold their houses back home. They've sold their land. They've sold their cattle to come to the UK to start afresh. Some even paid money to get those visas, paying money to come here to work. I just want you to see where I'm coming from with this. The process in itself, basically that's what I'm trying to say. The process of you leaving your country behind, coming to another country and starting afresh, starting to establish yourself, because you have to learn the UK system when you come. And if your visa is not yet sorted out, you have to wait for your visa situation to be sorted out. And during that wait, time is not waiting. Time waits for no man. It keeps ticking. So you can imagine if someone comes here in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, and they have to wait maybe 6 months depending on what type of visa you have applied for. Some people wait for years for their visas to get sorted out. Some people stay here as asylum seekers, just waiting for things to get fixed, to get sorted. And by the time everything works out, you're old. I'm sorry to say, I did say it was a rant. You're old because time is not waiting for you. So we are constantly playing catch up. We'll never be or reach the same type of status as those people who were born in this country, because those people are already used to the system of this country. They've got their inheritances, they've got their homes already, they've got their jobs already. Everything is already there. All they have to do now is to move to the next level. And by the time you start to work towards moving to the next level, suppose you find a job and you try to climb your way up the ladder. It's time that is going. And when you start working, you don't start saving straight away. And there's a reason for that. And that's the second reason that I'm going to talk about. The second reason, or that reason, is black tax. This is where you send money home to help out, to help relatives with food, school fees, and so forth. Now, I did this, and I can say confidently that 99.9% of black immigrants do this. When we come over here, we are, I don't want to say burdened, because I don't think helping out should be a burden as such. This is something that we must do, we have to do. If there's a need, a genuine need, I think we should absolutely help people back home, because we are a family. If you leave your family behind and you know that they are in need, you should absolutely help them out, because you know the situation, you know how things are, and now you're over here, you're earning a bit of money. Maybe the money you earn can hardly pay your bills, but because you know the situation, you have to forgo or to deprive yourself of certain things so that you can send money back home. Another situation that is common as well is when black immigrants come over here, they also want to help those they've left behind also to come over here. That's another thing that happens as well. So because of this situation that I've just described, how then are we able, or when do we really say, now we're able to save up? Now we're able to accumulate wealth, because already we're taking from our meager salaries. We can hardly afford to pay our bills, to pay our rent. We live hand to mouth because the cost of living is high. So because we are constantly dipping into that meager salary and sending, distributing to those who need it, when then do we accumulate the wealth? When do we then find the money to invest? I was going to come to that later on, but I might as well talk about it. Because of the black tax, we are not able to save up. I read somewhere a rule of thumb: save at least 20% of your salary every month, and you must have money set aside for emergencies, and you must have enough money set aside for you to then start investing. I'm just giving examples. And really, this example is just to emphasize that it's hard for black immigrants, or for black expats, as I like to call myself. It's hard for us to get to that place, or it takes a long time, or it takes a great deal of working, grinding, for us to get to that stage where we can say, now I can save every month. Because here's the thing, you can't focus on investing, on achieving bigger things, on an empty stomach. Those who know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs understand what I'm talking about. Basic needs have to be fulfilled first before you can think about fulfilling another level of your need. You have to satisfy the basic need, the first level. You have to eat first. You have to have a roof over your head, somewhere to sleep, where it is warm, clothes to wear. You have to satisfy those basic human needs in order for you to go to the next level. So because we come over here as immigrants, we spend so much time trying to fulfill those basics It takes a while for us to get to a stage where now we want to fulfill higher needs until we reach that self-actualization stage. It takes ages for us to get there. That's why we're poor, because we're constantly playing catch up. It takes us time to get there, if at all. If at all. I know this is painful to hear, and I did say this is a rant. I did say that because we're talking about real issues here. I'm talking about things that happen, things that are happening, things that are happening to me. So I'm not just talking, I'm not just making things up. This is our reality. And another reason why we're poor is our mindset. Now, this is a major one. Our mindset plays a major role in our development, in our progress. The things that we focus on. Now I'm coming to my proper rant, where I want to link this with Zimbabweans, with Zimbabwe politics. I'm appealing to Zimbabweans and Black people in general. I'm appealing to us to focus on things that matter. Yes, politics matters because politics affects me directly. I understand that. I get that. But what I'm saying is, while we discuss politics, while we try to fix our politics, whatever you think is wrong with our politics, while we do that, let us also not forget to focus on the things that matter as well. And I'll give an example of social media. If someone tweets or posts encouraging people to read, or just sharing a book they've read, or if they retweet a cleanup campaign or tourism, whatever it is, something nice, something that develops people and the country, whatever, something that works towards improving us as people. If someone posts something like that, it hardly gets any attention. People don't like it, people don't retweet, people just ignore things like that. It's as if now we're constantly looking for drama. That's what we focus on the most. It doesn't matter who is doing that good deed. Just because maybe the person who has done the thing belongs to a party that you don't belong to, then you don't see the good in it. For me, that's where I've got a problem with Zimbabwe politics. We don't know how to separate us being citizens of Zimbabwe and politics. The parties, I'm talking about the parties that we have. Me, I'll give an example of myself. I am a Zimbabwean citizen. Yes, politics, as much as I know that politics affects me directly, but I'm also a citizen. I have a role to play as a Zimbabwean citizen. I have a role to play in being positive. If I see something positive, what do I do with it? Do I shoot it down for the sake of it, or do I amplify it? As a citizen, what sort of things do I focus on? Because we all know that what you dwell on is what will manifest. Because if you're constantly focusing on the negative, that is all you will see. You will become blind to anything positive, to anything good. And unfortunately, you won't see opportunities when they arise because you're constantly focusing on the negatives. You will be blinded by that negativity. So this is where I've got a problem with Zimbabwe politics. Is the focus. Where is our focus? Is our focus on being citizens, on progress as Zimbabwean citizens, or are we just focusing on individuals, on playing individual politics? So this is the problem that I see as somebody who's just observing. I just observe, okay? I listen, I observe. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I'm not interested in politics. That's just being silly, because politics will affect you whether you like it or not. Whether you're a Christian or not, politics will follow you everywhere. So I do take an interest in politics, but it's the things that people mainly focus on that I've got a problem with. Is the constant focus on the negatives. Why can't we just amplify the positive things, the good things? Because in my other video, in my other rant, I talked about gratitude. If you walk in gratitude, that's where your blessings lie. If you're constantly focusing on what is going wrong in your life, then you always be stuck in that space. This is very true. It's even biblical. You always be stuck. But this is according to my experience. I've discovered that when I focus on positive things, I start to feel better and I start to see the good in life. So that's what I'm saying here. I don't know if it's making any sense, but it is what it is. That's what I think about this whole situation. So I think I've said a lot in this video. I'm sure you have something to say. Feel free to say it in the comment section. As long as we keep it respectful, clean, I've got no problem at all. As I said, I've done my rant. I'm going to end this video here. As always, I hope you found it interesting, helpful, insightful, whatever. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.